Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to go over this week's options watch list. Before I get into the watch list, if you're not in the room, you can find the link in the description of the video and in my bio section of social media accounts. Also, please subscribe to the channel and like the video if you haven't done so already. Now, looking at the put-to-call ratio going into this week, I mean, we had a lot of oversold conditions. Not unless something happens with China or Russia. I would think that we're going to have probably a bounce this week. Right now, the put-to-call ratio is at 0.63. It's not low, it's not high, it's right in the medium area. So nothing to see there as far as extreme levels. The economic calendar for the week. Let's see. Don't see anything on Monday. I mean, the federal balance sheet, no certain time. Empire State Manufacturing, 8:30 on Monday. Tuesday, don't see too much of anything. Wednesday, we have a couple Fed speakers. Thursday, Philly Fed Manufacturing Index, unemployment claims, existing home sales. And Friday, I don't really see anything except for maybe there is a Fed member speaking. So not too much going on this week. As far as the economic calendar, the put-to-call ratio is pretty much in the middle. Lots of oversold conditions. We're coming into earnings season. There's so many stocks that are beaten down that you would think that the any slightly positive earnings guidance wise or any outlooks is going to end up having strong bounces, but we'll have to see what happens. I mean, every time you think that something can't go lower, it just manages to go lower. So I have VIX up, the daily trend line right here. Popped over it, then it just gets slammed on, popped over and did manage to close over it a few days, then it just gets slammed back under it. Now the weekly, it's making lower highs. We'll have to see if it does manage to end up falling apart or not. So SPY, I know SPY has been all over the place. I don't really think there's much of bad news on the horizon for SPY. I mean, yeah, SPY can keep going down, but I think that it's going to need something because it's right around the 350 level, and it bounced hard at 350, and that's a pretty significant area for it to bounce. And also we're having, a bullish divergence on the daily and the weekly, so you can see it's making a lower lows. Histogram is making higher lows, I should say. And make sure I said that right. The price is making lower lows and histogram is making higher lows, so they're diverging. Same with RSI. So weekly is doing the same thing, lower lows, and then the RSI and MACD is going up. So there is bullish divergence going on. I would think with earnings seasons here and FOMC, the next FOMC meeting is not for another couple of weeks, so we may have a nice run up in the next couple of days or this week, and cool off some of those indicators before possibly maybe even going lower. So I would watch SPY. Hopefully SPY doesn't gap up 5 or 10 points tomorrow. I really hate when they do that. Makes it hard to trade because most of the moves already happened, and you end up getting choppy conditions or lots of fake outs. So I thought for sure Friday we were going to get this gap fill. Maybe we get it this week, but I'd watch it over 360, push to 365. 370 is the area it's been having trouble. Gets over that 370 area, I'm looking for a gap fill, 375 to 380. So if we have any earning run-ups, which we have a couple on the watch list, that I would definitely keep an eye for some earnings run-ups this week and next week. So SPY definitely, we get the RCT trend line right at the 380 level, so that does line up with the hourly and the gap. So we'll have to see if that does actually play out. So, but like I said, it can go lower, but I mean, below 350, that's going to be a pretty hard area to stay under. So, but anything's possible. Now, speaking of earnings run-ups, Netflix is always the first one I always watch. And it's actually doing really well, holding up under these market conditions. The weekly just looks so good. It's just chopping right in underneath this 225 to 240 area. It does manage to get over this 240 area. Watch push for 245, 250. It gets over this 250 area. I mean, we could end up seeing a really monster run on Netflix. Definitely keep an eye on Netflix for that. Tesla is another one. Oops, Tesla. There we go. It's just been getting hammered on. Look at the hourly. It's just getting hammered on. It's been what? A week, 2 weeks. It's gone from 313 to 205. Some pretty nasty selling. We got gaps up here at the 260 area. Our RCT trend line is right here at the 265, 266 area. The weekly, it likes to bounce in this area. We'll have to see if it does. Thing to point out is the bullish divergence going on in the hourly. It's making lower lows, and RSI is going up right there. Plus on the daily, it's down to what? RSI is down to 24 or so on the daily. Weekly, I mean, it's same thing. It's flattening out a little, making a little bit of a lower low, and histogram is rising. So I would definitely keep an eye on Tesla over, we'll see, 208 for a push to 210, 215, 220, 225. Gets over this 225 area, which is going to be pretty hard, but if it does, you could see a pretty significant pop out of Tesla if it does manage to get over this 225. We could end up seeing a strong push to 250 pretty fast. So definitely keep an eye on that. Amazon, another one. Christmas season's coming up. It does like to bounce in this 105 area, so I would definitely keep an eye on Amazon. Christmas season is going to come up, shipping season, so definitely going to keep an eye on these online retail. I don't know why I keep saying realtor, but anyways, I'd keep an eye on it over, I'd say over 109, even 110 for a push to 115. 116, then you got gap resistance right here at 118 for push to 120, 122, 124, 125 area. So I think that, you know, Amazon is down so much, they could end up having a strong Christmas season, and if they could end up having a an anticipation for a strong season, so we could end up seeing some bias here. We'll have to see what actually happens. Microsoft, another one. Gets underneath this 250 area. It just does not like to stay under it, but it did actually stay under it. Obviously 250 is up here. It stayed under it for a long time. I tried to get out of it right here, and it got rejected and came back down. So you know, it had a strong move on, obviously, when the market went up. But one thing I like looking at the on Microsoft is right here, this 225 level on the weekly. It's got a strong support pivot line right in here. So it had a nice bounce off this area. I'm just looking to see if it will continue. If it does, I would watch it over 235, push to 240, and the gap fill at 245 to 250. So Microsoft, we could end up seeing a nice little run out of that if the market's strong. If not, who knows? We'll just have to take it day by day and see what it does. But Microsoft usually does really well for earnings and cloud services, stuff like that. So we'll have to see what happens with that. BA, Boeing, you know, actually Boeing is actually holding up really well, considering, I mean, it's making an ascending triangle right here on the hourly. And they get this trend line right here at the 135 area. It gets over this 134, 135 area. We could see a strong push. Also a inverted head and shoulders, the left, the head, and the big right shoulder right here. It breaks this 135 level. We can see a gap fill to 140, 145, 150 area really, really, really fast. So definitely keep an eye on Boeing. Boeing is actually doing pretty well, considering. Last one is Meta, Facebook, whatever. I mean, the RSI has been rising for weeks. You see it's rising here on the weekly, and it's making lower lows. Doing the same thing right here, lower lows, RSI is rising. At some point, these huge bullish divergences you see going on the weekly charts will play out. It's just a question. It's just a matter of when and how high they go. Who knows? But it will really. Plus, also with the elections coming up, midterms coming up, they're going to start pumping the market again to start making the market look strong again, and that way they can start bragging about it when it comes for their election bullshit that they do. So that's how political the market is. The market does move on politics, and people's success in the presidency is measured by the stock market success. So which is I guess it's just how it is. So I would not be surprised if we end up. That's another reason why I think we're going to end up having a rally the next couple of weeks, is because of that. So Facebook, we get all these divergences going on like many other charts. So keep an eye on over 131 or even 130, push to 135, 140, and then get this area right here of 142.50 that struggles. Gets over that, I could end up seeing the trend change and actually seeing a pretty significant move over this 140 area. So 142 area. Push to 150. So that's my thoughts for the week. We'll have to see if the market will actually recover and rally this week. I don't really see much as far as negative news or numbers coming out. Pretty much everything is known. The only variables are Russia, Ukraine, and China. They're always an unknown, but I would think that a couple weeks for FOMC and earnings season, we're going to end up seeing some kind of run up, but we'll have to see. That's why you need to be in the room, take it day by day. And that's going to do it for the watch list. Thanks for watching.